A lot of players seem to lose their head playing For Honor quite easily, and it's understandable. There are times playing this game that it feels as though there's nothing you can do. I've seen memes about it, I've heard plenty of people talk about it, and I've raged myself quite a lot on this game. I want to make this video to not only talk about ways to reduce how angry you get on this game, but also to give some general tips and advice on how to fight, some tips on certain game modes. Um, Only because it seems a lot of people are still struggling to grasp some of these. And plus, I mean, this video is more for newer players or casual players that are still having a hard time. My biggest tip when it comes to managing your anger is to change your mindset. Uh, Sometimes you really can't do anything about something. Like if you're getting ganked, someone throws a bash while someone else throws a guard break, one of those are going to land. Um, then like all four of them are going to hit you at once or something. Like it's ridiculous. Um, just sometimes like there is only so much you can do about a certain situation to help prevent that kind of thing. I suggest like a buddy system. If the enemy team keeps ganking everyone, then make sure you're not alone. Don't go into an objective by yourself because chances are they'll just overcome you. And something else I do frequently is I give out compliments. I know this sounds like a little bit backwards, but I mean, you don't even have to actually tell it to them. You can just kind of say it to yourself. Um, the reason why this is useful is because it helps you get into a more positive mindset. If you see an enemy that is doing something really well, like you go to do a move and every time you do it, you just get punished for it. Um, and you are able to see this and acknowledge this, you have to kind of say, well, that was, I mean, it's a good play. Um, and now it's kind of up to you to see what you can do. If you can, instead of going through with that move, if you can bait them into doing theirs, and then you can punish them instead. Um, you can also compliment teammates if they do something, worthwhile. The whole idea of this really is to help keep a more positive attitude when playing the game. Um, Something else to keep in mind is if you are struggling with a certain move set that you see someone doing, you could go into training only and have the bot try to replicate what they're doing. I know the training isn't always great. Honestly, it's better to have a teammate do it. But I understand not everyone plays with other people. For the longest time, I played this game by myself, so I totally understand that. It's also really important to self-regulate. If you've had a bad match and then the next match and then the next match, like it just progressively gets worse, you can feel yourself getting angry and angry, even if you make like a good play. Um, but you're still like you're just angry. You have to self-regulate. You have to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna stop playing for now. I'm gonna like do something else. Usually, if I've had a couple bad matches, we won't queue up immediately again. We'll take a small break, just walk around, get some water. If that next upcoming match still doesn't work, we'll play something else, or we'll play against bots if we still have more orders to do. Just do something else, because what'll begin to happen is as you get more and more angry, you're gonna play worse. You're gonna panic much more. You're gonna want to just like get through with it, and little things that shouldn't get you upset are gonna get you upset. So I'm gonna do a quick recap. I know this has been really quick, but it's important to try and prevent getting upset in the first place. You can do this by acknowledging that sometimes there really is nothing you can do about a situation. You can try giving out compliments to keep the positive energy going. And it's important to self-regulate. Now I want to go over some more general tips. How to deal with people that are panic spamming and parrying everything, how to master countering something specific, and then some game mode specific advice. Again, this is more for newer players that might not know this. Something I very often see when people get low on health is they start panic spamming. This is when they spam light attacks, dodge attacks, bashes, and they do this because they become desperate. And sometimes it works out, but usually no. It's kind of easy to punish. Um, where this is where it's important to kind of try your best to relax and see what they're doing. If they're spamming light, you just got to try blocking everything. If they're spamming dodge attacks, those are pretty easy to um, bait. Like if you were to throw a heavy and cancel it, um, and if they're panicking, chances are they'll throw a dodge attack, and you can just parry that and go right into punishing. And then if they're doing bashes, it's important to try to just dodge out of the way. And again, this is something where you could go into hero training, have a bot that spams light attacks, bashes, make sure it parries everything, and then you turn off the cooldown. So then you're just constantly getting bombarded until you can get to a point where you're block, 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 block. Oh, I can see that he's starting the animation for like a kick or something, and you dodge out of the way. Now, the real reason I'm even bringing up panic spamming is because it's important to make sure that you don't do it yourself. Because again, it is very easy to counter. It's very easy to punish. So it's important that even when you're low on health, that you don't start panicking. You know, something I've been telling a lot of people is they can't rely too much on dodge attacks because again, it is very easy to punish. Um, it's just really reliable until you start bumping into people with more experience. And then it's like, okay, you do a dodge attack and you're probably going to get parried. You're probably going to get crushing counter, dodged, or something. Um, if you get hit a couple times and then you start making it a routine where, okay, he's starting his chain. I got to break it. Let's do a dodge attack. They're going to begin reading it. You might get him the first couple times, but then they're going to be like, okay, this guy, every time I hit him once or twice, he throws a dodge attack, and then I can punish him for it, um, which obviously isn't helpful for you, and it's also something worthwhile to keep an eye out. Now, for people who parry everything, there's only so much you can do. I know I still obviously struggle with these people. I notice the best way to deal with it is to try bashing and feinting attacks. Um, if they're parrying everything, maybe they won't dodge fast enough. Maybe they're expecting more swings from you. Usually, you can bash and hit, or you can throw an attack, cancel it into a light. I don't suggest canceling it into another heavy because they could always parry that. And I've also had people who are crazy enough where you throw a light and they parry it, but if you throw a heavy and feint it into a light, they might not parry it as quick. So that being said, there's still the chance that they parry it. Some people are absolutely nuts at this game. Also, I don't think there's any shame in acknowledging that you can't go up against a certain person. You realize every time you fight them, you just lose and you're just doing nothing but struggling. I think it's important that you'd be able to identify who this person is and make the choice of not going after them. The only exception really would be if you were trying to waste that specific person's time. If they were like protecting a zone and you wanted to put pressure on that zone so that they don't build points and you give your team more time to actually collect other zones, I mean, that'd be valuable. Sometimes you have to go into a fight not looking to win the fight, but rather just to waste the other team's time. This is now going to segue into the game mode specific advice. First, I want to talk about Breach because Breach is very easy to understand. So, in Breach, there are the ramparts, the ram, the cauldron, and then the places where the pikemen spawn, as well as, I mean, there's other things to it too, but this is like the bare bones basic. So, what you're not going to do, and I cannot iterate this enough, you can't push the ram forward first, right? If you do it first, you have to consider where the pikemen spawn. So at the very start of the game, if you're attacking, your pikemen are going to spawn right on top of you, right on top of the ram. They're going to have a lot of space. But as you push forward and closer to the other side, you're going to get hit with this um, nasty little bit where your your team is now spawning the furthest away from the ram, and they have to go all the way to the ram. And if you push the ram first, those archers are going to hurt your pikemen so much. It's going to be hell defending your ram against the pikemen, as well as the cauldron. If your ram is stuck underneath the cauldron and you can't boost it because your soldiers are getting destroyed, as well as you have no one stopping anyone from using the cauldron, you're going to be getting that ram hurt. And that's especially bad because at the very end of the match, the ram's health is determined. Your set amount of lives are determined by the ram's health. So if you go in there and your ram's almost destroyed, you're not going to have enough lives to really get and kill the commander. However, if you were to take the ram parts first, it's going to kind of flip. It's okay if the ram would be closest to you, and you haven't really pushed it much, because if you have all the archers, it's going to be very easy to do because the archers are going to be helping you wipe out those enemy teams. And for the defending side, really, you're just trying to slow down the match as much as possible. Preferably, what it would look like, and this is kind of for either side, 3 people on the rampart and 1 person on the ram. Because you're trying to, again, push those ramparts as much as possible, but you do kind of want someone defending the ram, making sure that it is making progress so it isn't just stuck there sitting. And on that second wall, I I had asked for some advice to see if anyone could think of something that I hadn't thought of. Um, and someone gave the advice that on the second wall, what you need to be doing is getting the ram halfway before taking the wall, before taking all the ramparts, because, well, actually, they haven't explained why, but I'm sure there is a really good reason for it. Um, I just don't know it off the top of my head. I'll put it in the description. What they say. I'll put the whole Reddit question in there. See what other people say about advice. Now for Dominion, there are 3 points, right? As everyone probably watching this video knows, there's usually 1 point closer to your spawn, 1 point closer to their spawn, and then a point in between that's usually full of minions. Preferably, you'd think, oh, well, maybe you should get all 3 points at once, right? Preferably, it should look like this. You should have your point, the minion point, and then you should be putting pressure on their point so they're not getting points. Because that's something that's really big that it feels like a lot of people forget, is that you are trying to prevent the enemy team from getting points. And the way they do that is by holding an objective and getting kills. Something I like to do, and this is something that's maybe not like crazy, that I like to, if I'm defending a point, is I like to stand on it, get the double points, and then if I see someone approaching, I actually step off of the point and fight them off of the objective. This way we're still getting points, and then if more people show up, then I back up into our point just so I get the health. And usually I run a certain perk that raises your defense. Your team should look a bit like this, though. There should be 1 person defending your objective, 2 people on their objective applying pressure, trying to slow them down, trying to keep them distracted from the other objectives. And then we should have what we call a floater. They're mostly going to be bouncing between their objective and the third objective with the minions. It's important also to keep in mind that the minion objective you gain the most renown from. You gain the most points overall in the match. I think if you are like close to getting renowned, or you just need more renowned, it's important that you maybe go to third, like go to the minion one and clear out a bunch, because you do build renown really fast. Now, what someone suggested was that the person on your side defending usually should be like a heavy, someone who is a really good duelist. Um, the other two people can be whoever, and then the floater should be someone that is good at clearing the objective. Um, this way, this floater usually can bounce between the two. If he has to, he can fall back and help the duelist. In this way, you just maximize how many points you're really gaining. Obviously, it's not going to look like this every time. This is going to be a situational thing, but this is ideally what you want it to look like. That is about it. I know this was a short video, and I know I usually don't make For Honor content either. But lately I've been just getting a real good itch for it, like a real good scratch. Um, I also, if you made it this far in the video and you thought the advice was helpful, thank you. um, I'm not incredibly experienced on For Honor. I have, I don't even know, like, I know I have over 1,000 hours, but I don't play it as much as I used to. Um, I just recently got back into it with my friends, and again, it's been like a this big itch that I didn't know was there. I'm just scratching the hell out of it. um, so thank you for watching the video. I hope we all learned something today, and have a good day. Thank you.